So when you're ready to knock the bat, make sure it is properly oiled 3 times and rested properly. And before you oil, you take a clean paper and wipe the surface properly to make the surface clean. And when you buy a new bat, you will see the edge of the bat is more prominent. But when you start knocking in, the idea of knocking in is that pressing the willow of the playing surface and making it a harder surface. So in willow, when you make the playing surface more, when you press the surface and the surface behind that level is more softer, and when you knock in, the surface will become more harder and pressed. So first you start knocking the bat around the edges. So you would be hitting the bat in like a 45-degree angle slowly, going across all the way, and you would be hitting, denting, doing the same thing to your toe, 45 degrees, and then keep coming back on the other side, going slowly all the way until the end of your playing surface. Here we go. So this is how you start knocking in the edge. Make sure you go slow first and not to break the edges. So you start slowly. So once you finished knocking in around the edges, 45-degree angle, maybe 2 to 3 times, now you can concentrate on knocking the face. There's two ways of doing this. First thing is that you will start hitting the bat slowly from the mallet with a base, nice and steady pace along the grains. The second way of doing it is that you start in a spot where you want to start pressing the willow and then go around and widen the area. So likewise, if I go with the second method, I would start hitting from the center and then work around that spot, and then I will, so that way I am concentrating just the center, starting from a small spot, working around and then widening the spot, and then slowly work that way towards towards the end, and then work that way all the way for the finishing the surface. The second way is that you would start from a corner and then keep hitting along the grains. So that way, that will happen like this. So once you knock the bat first day or first time, maybe for 10-12 minutes, you will feel the sound of the bat changes. So for example, if I hit the mallet towards the splice or towards the top, it will give not a pinging sound. But if I hit towards the sweet spot, it will give a different sound. But if I hit towards the toe, it will give a different sound. So something like this. So here it will be a sweet spot. It will be top area. and if it's the top, bottom, something like this. So you can see the sound difference. So that means when you start knocking the bat, you will get more and more ping from the middle of the bat. So once you prepare your bat to the state that can play, first take the bats to the nets and use a softer ball to play and see how the bat is responding. First thing you should do is, before you knock the bat, take a good ball and then start hitting the bat and see how the sound of the bat changes, or try to identify the sweet spot. So if you hit a bat that is not properly knocked in, you might hear a different sound when you hit the ball. But when you prepare the bat and when you use the same ball, you will see a different sound and how the bat is responding to the ball. Once you knock the bats first time, then what you should do is, if you have the ball mallet, hit from the ball mallet in couple of places in hitting the seam, and see whether you can see any dents from the seam is appearing on the bat. So for example, you will just hit. So now if you see any seam marks on the spots that you have hit, that means the surface is not knocked in properly. If you find any seam marks, you go back to your small mallet and do the knocking only to the center of the bat. You should not knock back the edge again, because edge is already knocked in properly. So once you go through that process, you take the ball mallet again and then see whether you find any dents. If there's no dents, then the bat is knocked in. If you find any dents, you go through that process maybe two or three times until the surface is nice and